Welcome to the house.
To the house of Hyrule, ja. Oh ja, das ist gut, oh ja. Ja, the house of Hyrule.
Our journey begins with a crashed carriage. On breaking through the rubble and finding the driver dead, our two heroes have no choice but to make the rest of the journey on foot. They are Dismas, the highwayman, and Reynold, the crusader. They encounter bandits along the path, but it's no trouble, and they're quickly dispatched. A day's walk later, they arrive at the hamlet from the old road, having picked up some extra coin along the way. Reynold is in high spirits, but he did injure his wrist in the crash. Dismas is mad at the horses for crashing. Now, Reynold and Dismas' stagecoach may have broken down, but as they step foot in the hamlet, they can see that the next one's already arrived. On board are Naomi and Sally Grimm, in much better spirits thanks to their easier journey. This is our party of four that we'll begin our exploration of the ruined manor with. Naomi isn't the most physically hardy, but mentally, she's a bright light of joy. Sally Grimm is a strange lady, with a penchant for destroying the Eldritch and a hearty refusal to die. She's also off-put by pork. Before heading out to explore the manor's ruins, I upgrade the stagecoach a bit, which is very important in the early game. This will affect how many recruits I can pick from each week, which means my standards can be higher. And so, wasting little time, on week 2, this group heads out for the first week exploring the ruins of the manor. Not really having any idea what to expect, but certainly not expecting the risen undead skeletons that they come into contact with. Naturally, the skeletons won't bleed, but Sally Grimm enjoys taking a slice and sample of their resurrected bones regardless. They're dispatched quickly, but give the party enough of an idea of what they can expect in the rest of the manor. The ruins are crumbling around them, but they came prepared with shovels, and so it's little problem. After digging through, they're taken by surprise by more of the undead, and an eldritch cultist, which Sally Grimm takes a particular evil gleam towards. Despite mostly being strangers at the moment, the 4 party members work together in great unison during battle.
Confident. Their formation is broken.
A few more cultists and skeletons guarding a locked chest are taken care of just as easily, when Naomi performs a holy prayer of magical healing on Dismas after he's battered around. The final skeleton is shot, and then succumbs to Sally Grimm's blight.
Here. Wash your hands in the fountain with this.
What?
Trust me. What are you... Whoa.
Thanks, Reynold. The final room of their exploration is a big skeleton fight with another chest. The bar underneath their health is their stress bar. You should always target the stress-dealing enemies first, because stress is a much more permanent and much more difficult to heal effect. The first skeleton falls to Dismas, leaving behind a corpse. Some attacks in this game can only target specific positions, meaning that corpses can block the way for some attacks that you would otherwise be able to do. Naomi frets over Sally's wounds, while Reynold resists a shield bash, and swings back harder with a stun from his sword point.
Ha! Mine's better.
Dismas takes a final swipe with his knife, and then Sally finishes him off. The first quest and exploration is complete, and we've got lots to show for it, including the experience and new understanding that this manor is not just going to be filled with tetanus and bandits. Something darker seems to be at play here. The heroes walk back to the shoddy hamlet, wondering if this is what they should expect from here on.
Stay still. Ow! What was that? Concoction. Have trust.
Thank you? Inspired by the miracle he saw at the Holy Fountain, Reynold's deathblow resistance is increased. Naomi was also inspired by the Holy Back at the hamlet, the tavern and the abbey are now open for stress relief. The party was able to procure some old barrels of alcohol that they found in the ruins, which they rolled back down the mountain towards the hamlet and set up in the remains of the old tavern for them to drink at in between expeditions. As they dust off their hands and prepare for the first drink of what may be a long stay, another stagecoach rolls in. First stepping off of it is the ex-lawman Barry, high on his guard with a knack for weaponsmithing and a strict sense of divine justice. After finding out that his fellow policemen were corrupt, he said he was taking his dog and going home, so he brings with him his hound, Reem. Two others were occupying the same carriage. Norman Goodman, an alcoholic ex-soldier looking for adventure, and a one-handed woman who's gone through a lot but come out swinging. She introduces herself to the group as the Spiral Artist. Greetings from the new arrivals are made, and introductions from the original four are done. Out of the corner of his eye, Norman Goodman quite likes the look of the barrels of alcohol. With the tavern haphazardly set up, and little else to do, the original four hand over work of repairing the hamlet and establishing the tavern to the new arrivals, and then set out for another venture into the old manor. On week 3 they head to the ruins again. Naomi brings along a trinket she picked up on their last journey. Their goal this time is simply to explore. It'll be a long one. In fact, they're planning to spend the night in the ruins. From their last foray, Sally is still a little bit stressed going into it, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem. In these missions, and especially the longer ones that include camping, the goal should always be to leave each battle in the best possible party state. Because all fights but one will not be the last fight. During this battle, Sally Grimm buffs Dismas' speed and damage with a concoction she brewed while they were setting up their tavern. It's safe to say that he is now officially her testing dummy for anything she wants to try. The enemies are easily finished off, and in a later hallway, an alchemy table catches Sally Grimm's eye.
Dismas, come. What is it? Table. Should be able to... On second thought, stay where you are.
Reynold takes some heavy hits against the skeletons, but is once again healed by a crit off of Naomi, because she is a legend.
Thank you, Naomi. You're very holy.
Yeah, thanks. You're very holy as well.
Oh, thank you, but not nearly as holy as you, I assure you.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean,
Oh, no,
you're a
please,
pretty
please.
holy guy.
Of course, I am a holy guy, I am, but I would just say that when
Yeah,
it
but
comes
I mean,
down to it,
I-
between
you-
the two of
I-
us, you're more
you saw
holy
the
than
holy
me.
fountain
It's
earlier.
close.
Yeah,
my
bring
God,
holy water
shut
with you
up.
wherever you-
Naomi reads a book and gets plus 2% crit, as if she needed it. After that, they make camp. Dismas checks the perimeter to make sure they won't be ambushed in their sleep, and returns to find Reynold giving a zealous speech. Everyone feels a lot more at ease, and digs into their food. The next day, the group uses their last shovel, and has to clear rubble by hand. I also scout and find a secret room, but I don't have a key on me, which is really annoying, so I can't even get the benefits of it. There's a lot of cool stuff in secret rooms. Now, I mentioned earlier how some abilities can only target specific enemy slots. In the same way, most abilities can only be done from certain positions on the battlefield. This applies for heroes and enemies both. For example, this cultist brawler is forced to do the much worse stumbling scratch ability because he was out of position. When a hero reaches 100 stress, they gain an affliction, which can reduce some of their stats and make them act irrationally without player input. The party doesn't find a key in the rest of the dungeon, so they complete the mission and head back to the hamlet with a lot more of the manor's ruins scouted out. They return to find the guild and weaponsmith open, thanks to the weapon tinkering abilities of Barry and the combat/leadership experience of Norman Goodman. Also, the night they were camping in the ruins, the stagecoach brought yet more new arrivals to the hamlet. Simon Quicker, the occultist who is strangely calm and notoriously hard to kill, and Trunk Chopper, a leper with a broken sword and a strong, bulky frame. I think one of the most important parts to having fun with Darkest Dungeon is to name all of your characters personally, rather than sticking with the pre-generated names. When you name these characters, a tough decision doesn't run you the risk of losing a high-leveled crusader, it runs the risk of losing you Kevin. And that's an important distinction for me. In any case, tired after their 2-day stint, the party all decide to rest and check out the new digs set up at the hamlet. The abbey and tavern buildings in the hamlet both function as stress relief. Reynold prays, Sally Grimm gambles, and Dismas joins her in the tavern to drink, since he's not allowed to play cards. All the same, he calls out advice to her from behind his mug. Last of all is Naomi, who sits down in the abbey to meditate. Norman Goodman, the ex-soldier looking for adventure, will lead the next expedition. This time his goal is to clear out some of the bandits in the weald leading to the manor, whose attacks have been interrupting the stagecoach's arrivals. Accompanied by Spiral Artist, who he seems to have already known before arriving in the hamlet, Simon Quicker, and Barry. Shield breakers, like Spiral Artist, have a lot of abilities that can be used from multiple positions, and most of her attacks move her around the battlefield. A man-at-arms, like Norman Goodman, functions mostly on his riposte, which is an ability that means anytime an enemy targets him for a damaging attack, he gets a free swipe back at slightly reduced damage. Some attacks can also benefit from extra damage against enemies that you mark. So, with a bit of direction from Simon Quicker, Grimm is able to rip and tear through the enemies. Occultists, like Simon Quicker, are mainly useful for their healing though, which... Okay. I know that coming off the back of Naomi that looks very bad, but I promise you that he can be really cool. See? And... Oh, yeah, and also, yeah, sometimes his healing also makes the target bleed a little bit. But... See? The bleed chance is also really low, and most characters have a good resistance to it anyway. Be quiet, alright? The Occultist is cool. I like him. You'll see. You'll see. Whenever you bring a Houndmaster with you, you get free dog treats in your inventory. You will never use them. They increase your damage, they're very useful, you will never use them. You will forget about them, you will never use them. See? With the paths of the weald cleared, the four return to a slightly safer hamlet. Mostly without any limping, and all with much more experience. While they were gone, Naomi meditated so much that she will now only meditate for stress relief. And Sally lost 1,000 gold gambling after they threw Dismas and his advice out, and Sally Grimm thought she was on a hot streak all by herself. Following that, Sally Grimm used her medical experience to set up the sanitarium, with the reluctant help of Reynold and Dismas, and the very cheerful help of Naomi. Sally is very excited about this. The sanitarium can be used to cure diseases that the heroes pick up, and also to alter quirk stuff, both from locking in positive quirks to removing negative quirks. This is the hamlet that Norman Goodman and his troop return to, with the extra addition of... Kringle the Jester has arrived, and he greets the haggard returned party with a strum of the guitar. Arriving in the same coach as him is a thin, weak-looking man covered in chains. Immediately, he is not very well liked around the hamlet, for the stench of death and dried blood he brings everywhere with him. Spiral Artist sits down for a beer, and the original four debrief Norman Goodman, then set out to the ruins themselves to explore the manor some more. On week 5, nothing much of note happens, but by this point, the crew operates like a well-oiled machine. They aren't surprised by any of what the ruins has for them anymore, and they're able to quickly and efficiently clear out more of it. Well, that is, until Sally Grimm gets chewed on by a maggot and contracts the Black Plague. Huh. Well, we'll have to deal with that later. Back at the hamlet after a successful foray, Pollock the Flagellant has arrived on the stagecoach, as has Dominique the Hellion. The main crew upgrades their weapons and trains their abilities at the blacksmith and guild. During that last expedition to the ruins, Dismas found a map to the location of the skeletons' source, an apprentice necromancer, so they're preparing to hunt him down. They return to the ruins for week 6, nervous, but ready to halt the undead in their tracks. Not having any healing trinkets yet is pretty bad luck, but it's alright, I can deal with it. Sally Grimm is still stressed and diseased from her last foray, but she wanted to come because she's got some new concoctions she wants to try, and she was too stubborn to hear otherwise. Chief among them is her Noxious Blast ability, a blight grenade which targets the enemy's front lines. Blight and Bleed go right through Prot. Dismas also has a new ability he's practiced, a riposte, similar to Norman Goodman's, which moves him forward one space. From the front, he can do a point-blank shot for massive damage and move himself back a space. In setting up the sanitarium, Sally Grimm was also able to get the resources necessary for a heal ability of her own, which she, naturally, tests out on Dismas. It's a low heal compared to dedicated healers, but where it really shines is that it removes Bleed and Blight completely on use, both on the target and on Sally Grimm herself. Reynold's new ability is a spear, which he uses after the party gets shuffled. This is a really great ability to have on a Crusader, because they rely quite heavily on being in the front lines, and this move lets them get back into position if they're ever moved out of it. Sally Grimm also has a new stunning ability, which is quite useful. With all of this, the crew is decked out and confident as they storm through the ruins, following the old, poorly scribbled map found by Dismas. Unfortunately, with the stress carried over from their last expedition, Sally Grimm becomes hopeless before I can camp and reduce her stress, which, damn. The reason I couldn't camp early is because the buffs you get from camping only last for 4 battles, and I want to have them for the boss. All the same, they camp now, and Sally doesn't have the plague doctor thing to remove a disease from herself. I thought she had that. Okay. Guess she's keeping the Black Plague for now. Naomi and Reynold comfort Sally while Dismas cases the area. According to the map, they're right on top of where the necromancer should be. So Dismas takes a moment to clean his guns and get ready for the coming battle, whatever it may be. This is the undead's source, after all, and should not be underestimated. Dismas takes point as they stand outside of the boss room.
Towering, fierce, terrible, nightmare.
Sally Grimm panics, but her blight grenades do their work as Reynold fends off the rising hordes of undead. Naomi heals Sally Grimm's wounds, and Dismas hard carries throughout, and gets the final blow. The necromancer is dead. The party returns to the hamlet victorious, having cut off one arm of the manor's madness, and ended the hordes of undead for good. Sally returns to the tavern's gambling table to calm herself and celebrate the victory.
Playing cards? Hope you won't mind if I join.
Spiral artist, listen to me. No one is looking for you. You're safe here. Oh, look, they're back. Ugh. Welcome back.
Norman Goodman says, then asks to speak with Reynold, who fills him in on the news. Glad to hear it, Norman Goodman says he'll take another team out to the ruins to explore them further, now that they'll be safer with the death of the necromancer. Kringle the Jester also tags along for his first venture. Or, rather, he just refuses to go away. Jesters, like Kringle, have a very high dodge, and are one of the most fun heroes to play. There's a lot of moving around that you can do with his abilities, and each and every one of them increases the effectiveness of his finale ability, which is itself a powerful move that can only be used once per battle. The party is taken by surprise, however, when they see that the undead are still present and rising. This is a big issue, and one they were not prepared for, but they decide to go on and not call off the expedition just yet. All the same, it is an alarming discovery. Could there be multiple necromancers wandering these decrepit halls? At the same time, back in the hamlet, a new occultist named Raunin has also arrived, and people are beginning to wonder where Norman Goodman's team is. Before they can return to the hamlet, the ruined path crumbles behind them, and the party finds themselves cut off. They discover a large doorway which may lead back to the hamlet, but it's sealed shut, and to open it they need to find 3 holy relics throughout the ruins.
Well, looks like we might be stuck here for a couple of days.
A lot of the time in Darkest Dungeon, healing is a game of catch-up, so you need to be preemptive about it. With all the uncertainty of incoming damage and outgoing healing, you can't really afford to wait until a hero is low to begin healing them. The same goes with camping for stress relief. If you wait until you have to do it, then you've waited too long. They make camp. I was cutting it pretty close with Simon's stress, but it worked out alright. Kringle calms down Simon a fair bit, while Norman Goodman talks strategy, and Spiral Artist hones herself. As they drift off to sleep, Spiral Artist the Shieldbreaker has a terrible nightmare.
There. It's not real. It's not real.
With the help of the party in her dream, the nightmare is beaten, and she wakes up safe. Shieldbreakers have these nightmares during camping every now and then. It's been a while since her last one, but the manor seems to have activated something which brings them back, and makes them feel a lot more real than just an ordinary dream. Spiral Artist is shaken by the experience, and starts jumping at imaginary snakes seen throughout the ruins. In any case, the last relic is found in short time, and with the door unsealed, the path is cleared once more. The four of them return to the hamlet, bruised, but alive. Once returned, they waste no time in telling everyone about the lingering presence of the undead.
If you want a drink, get it in the dead of night, when none of us need suffer your foul stench.
With the news that their work in the ruins is not done, only just beginning, the crew starts preparing to embark again to see what they can find. Norman Goodman feels antsy with Spiral Artist in the Abbey trying to gather herself again after such a terrible nightmare. He feels partly responsible for the state of his good companion. After all, he's the one who brought them both here, and the one who was leading the expedition at the time. With little he can do to help her here while she recovers, he wants to busy himself by taking out another team.
Kringle, you're with me.
Where we headed?
The old road. I need to kill some bandits.
Just the two of us?
No. Barry! You two want to kill some bandits?
Sure.
Kringle, at your service.
Barry, this is my mutt Graham, and the fellow with the turban's Rownan. He's new around here.
Graham?
Yes.
And your name's Barry?
Yes.
Barry and who else?
Graham.
On week 9, Norman Goodman takes out a team to kill some bandits in the Weald. I have Rownan's abilities set up to be a frontline occultist, which is my favorite sort of occultist to play. But it generally needs a team comp that works with it. There are a lot more damage heroes that need to be in the front slots than there are ones that need to be in the back ones, after all. If you want to keep up a bit easier, Rownan has the white turban and Simon Quicker has the black one. Rownan keeps min-rolling with heals this run, but all the same, the party returns successful and a little richer. And by the time they return to the hamlet, Reynold, Dismas, Naomi, and Sally Grimm have already headed out to the ruins on week 10 to find what is causing the undead to rise still. They're the A-team, so for the most part, they crush. Outside the boss room, the party camps and gets ready. They're hit by a nighttime ambush, but it's dealt with pretty easily. With that out of the way, they push through the final door and see... The Mad Prophet! A large, hunchbacked, eyeless man, covered in daggers and half-drowned, spewing mad and incomprehensible prophecies. From his position behind the fractured pews of a desecrated church, Reynold's blade cannot reach him. At the end of each round of battle, the positions he's foreseen will have rubble dropped on them for massive damage. It's normally a good idea to move characters around for it if you can, so that it doesn't hit your characters on low health. With the Prophet's position being what it is, it's up to Dismas's pistol and the stacking blight grenades of Sally Grimm to fell him. Dismas pulls Reynold out of the way of the toxic dribble which flies from his chattering mouth. A gunshot to the chest finishes the Prophet off. And all's well that ends well.
A real prophet would have stayed in bed today.
Naomi gets the tough quirk, which is always nice. The party returns with the news that their work is only just beginning. And, just like that, we have our first veteran-level heroes. All the while, the hamlet's population is ever growing. On week 11, Kringle convinces Simon Quicker to join him for another expedition. It's only after he's already agreed that the rest of the party is revealed. Namely, a flagellant named Pollock, and the thin man who smells of death, and is a hidden monstrosity. That's too many letters. Hidden atrocity? Yeah, that fits. Okay. Who was a hidden atrocity. Still, the deal was made, and so the party sets out together to explore the warrens of the manor. A collection of seemingly endless tunnels built beneath the estate. In the first combat, Hidden Atrocity attacks using his chain as a whip, while Kringle prances around strumming his guitar, dodging the mutated maggots as they leap for his feet. Hidden Atrocity takes a moment to rest before the fight is completed. The next battle has the party face off against much more formidable mutated pig people. At the sight of this, Hidden Atrocity clutches at his head, stumbles, and transforms into something horrible. Suddenly, the purpose of his chains is clarified as he tears through the pig creatures with ease, with Simon suddenly freaking out at the sight. Kringle takes the lead, rushing forward with his guitar to finish off the largest of them. Relief washes over the party as the death of the last enemy sees Hidden Atrocity transform back. But it's not a lasting relief. If anything, they're only more anxious as to the next time.
You goddamn abomination! You're an affront to all that is holy. I'm gonna kill you.
Hey, Pollock. These pig creatures are affronts to God, yes? Somebody messed with his design, took creation into their own hands, yes? So if Mr. Capital A can help us kill them, then I'd say he's not all that bad, right?
Very well, clown. It will be tolerated. For now.
A nervous Hidden Atrocity and an irritated Pollock make short work of the other battles in the run. Then they head home, with news of what beasts the warrens below the manor contain. Despite his combat effectiveness, Hidden Atrocity takes no pleasure in the events of Week 11. In fact, he even develops a fear of beasts.
You are never making me venture out in the company of that thing again.
Oh, I don't know. I'm very persuasive.
Meanwhile, back in the hamlet, Pollock spreads word of how Hidden Atrocity's stench is the least of his sins.